Gaza is starving. Children are dying. After months of siege, Israel opens the gates just a crack. Aid drops into the desperate. Netanyahu insists there's no starvation. And the far right calls for a full takeover. Meanwhile, malnutrition deaths spike, Hamas suspends talks, and global outrage grows. This isn't humanitarian relief, it's a pressure valve. And the question now isn't just how long Gaza can survive, but how long the world will look away. After months of tightly controlling humanitarian aid to Gaza, Israel announced on July 27th that it would begin allowing more food trucks into the besieged territory and resume power to a critical water treatment plant. The move comes as malnutrition-related deaths have spiked dramatically, with Gaza's health ministry recording 6 new deaths from hunger on Sunday alone, bringing the total to 133 deaths since October, including 87 children. According to the Washington Post, the Israeli military said it would carry out tactical pauses in 3 areas of Gaza to facilitate increased aid delivery, with designated safe corridors operating from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily until further notice. However, an internal UN memo revealed Israel had only guaranteed the aid increase for 1 week. More than 100 trucks delivered humanitarian supplies to Gaza on July 27th, marking the first significant increase in months. Jordan and the United Arab Emirates conducted their first airdrop in months, parachuting 25 tons of aid into the territory. But the relief efforts remain dangerous and insufficient. Al Jazeera reported that one aid drop injured nearly a dozen people when pallets fell directly on the displacement camp tents. The crisis has reached alarming proportions. Liz Alcock from Medical Aid for Palestinians told Al Jazeera,
"The scale of starvation and the number of people you see walking around who are literally skin and bones is shocking. Money really has no value here when there is nothing to buy. All of Gazan society, no matter who they are, is suffering from critical food shortages."
Despite the announced pauses, Israeli forces killed at least 63 Palestinians on Sunday, including strikes on areas designated as safe zones. As one displaced mother, Smaud Wadan, told Al Jazeera,
"I've come all this way, risking my life for my children. They haven't eaten for a week. At the very least, I've been looking for a piece of bread for my children."
The relaxation of aid provoked an angry response almost immediately from the political far right.
The only way to win the war and bring back the hostages is to completely stop the humanitarian aid, conquer the entire strip, and encourage voluntary migration.
President Donald Trump, speaking from Scotland on Sunday, acknowledged the dire situation while maintaining his administration's support for Israel. When asked about images of starving children in Gaza, Trump said they were terrible. But he promptly pivoted to say, "They're stealing the food," without specifying who he was talking about, although he was likely alluding to Hamas.
Well, it's terrible. You know, when I see the children, and when I see, especially over the last couple of weeks, and people are stealing the food, they're stealing the money for the food, they're stealing weapons, they're stealing everything. It's a mess. That whole place is a mess.
Trump also complained about US contributions to Gaza aid, stating,
"You know, we gave $60 million 2 weeks ago, and nobody even acknowledged it for food. And it's terrible. You know, you really at least want to have somebody say thank you. No other country gave anything. We gave $60 million 2 weeks ago for food, for Gaza. And nobody acknowledged it. Nobody talks about it. And it makes you feel a little bad when you do that and, you know, you have other countries not giving anything. None of the European countries, by the way, gave. I mean, nobody gave but us. And nobody said, gee, thank you very much. And it would be nice to have at least a thank you.
However, the actual figure given by the US to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is $30 million. and the United Arab Emirates has provided larger assistance. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continued to deny the severity of the crisis. Speaking at a Christian conference in Jerusalem, Netanyahu declared,
"The main thing that I want to stress is the importance of winning the battle for truth. And that is a battle that we fought even as we speak now. Israel is presented as though we are applying a campaign of starvation in Gaza. What a bold-faced lie. There is no policy of starvation in Gaza, and there is no starvation in Gaza. We enable humanitarian aid throughout the duration of the war to enter Gaza, otherwise there would be no Gazans. And what has interdicted the supply of humanitarian aid is one force, Hamas. Again, the reversal of truth. Hamas robs, steals this humanitarian aid, and then accuses Israel of not supplying it.
He claimed Israel had enabled 1.9 million tons of aid since October and blamed Hamas for intercepting supplies. The World Health Organization painted a starkly different picture. In a July 27th report, OCHU warned that malnutrition deaths had spiked dramatically, with 63 of the 74 malnutrition-related deaths in 2025 occurring in July alone. The organization noted,
Nearly 1 in 5 children under 5 in Gaza City is now acutely malnourished, as reported by Nutrition Cluster Partners. Global acute malnutrition, which measures the percentage of children aged 6 to 59 months suffering from acute malnutrition, has tripled since June, making it the worst-hit area in the Gaza Strip.
Trump indicated growing frustration with ceasefire negotiations, telling reporters,
Israel's going to have to make a decision.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, an ally and longtime friend of Netanyahu, went further, suggesting on NBC News that Israel would ultimately need to occupy Gaza entirely.
Israeli leadership has concluded that they can't achieve a goal of ending the war with Hamas. That would be satisfactory to the safety of Israel. Washington also believes there's no way to negotiate an end of this war with Hamas. They're going to do in Gaza what we did in Tokyo and Berlin. Take the place by force and start over again.
In a televised speech, Hamas leader Khalil al-Hayya announced Sunday there was no point in continuing negotiations under current conditions, blaming Israel and the United States for stalling ceasefire talks.
The mediators conveyed to us positive responses from Israel. But we were surprised to find that the occupation withdrew from the negotiations, and that the U.S. President's envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, was in league with it.
Al-Hayya demanded the immediate and dignified entry of food and medicine as a prerequisite for resuming talks, refusing to let Palestinian suffering be used for what he called the occupation's negotiating tricks. International pressure continues to mount. French President Emmanuel Macron announced plans to recognize Palestinian statehood in September and will co-host a conference at the United Nations this week focused on a two-state solution. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese called Israel's blockade a violation of humanity and morality, stating,
Quite clearly, it is a breach of international law to stop food being delivered, which was a decision that Israel made in March.
With ceasefire talks stalled and the death toll mounting, the international community faces increasing pressure to find a solution before Gaza's humanitarian catastrophe worsens further.